All right, so I'm gonna start by just reading a quote. I have a daily calendar that you rip off a page every day, and it's a beautiful quote from all sorts of things. And this was the other days, and it's a poem by Rumi, or a quote by Rumi. I guess a poem. I think I always think everything that comes out of Rumi's mouth must be a poem, right? um, all right. Lord, the air smells good today, straight from the mysteries within the inner courts of God. A grace like new clothes thrown across the garden, free medicine for everybody, the trees in their prayer, the birds in praise. So, as you close your eyes and sit up straight and tall, as we begin our restorative practices, um, we'll begin with just a quiet moment of turning inward. So, as you close your eyes, just sense into what's the muscular aperture around your eyes. See if you can melt all around your eyes. And sense into the skull itself, the bones of your head, and see if you can soften through the bones. All those little fissures, the joint spaces as our plates of our skull meet. Let's see if we can melt. And then let the brain itself soften, try to recede away from the skull bones a bit. So there's just this release through the entire skull. And relax through your temples, relax through your cheekbones, feeling a sense of ease through your sinuses. Soften through your inner ears and through your jaw, joints. A sense of surrender through the base of your skull. Relaxing through your tongue, melting any sensation that you can, finding that quality of restfulness through your face, and traveling down to your collarbones, sense into a softening so that there can be an expansion and an opening. Allow your shoulders to drop, the hands to get heavy on your legs. And just feel the lightness of your heart kind of find some buoyancy, opening up. And bring your awareness into the fullness of your breath. Notice how your whole body accommodates your breathing. Sense not only your ribs, but also your low back and your belly and your pelvis, and how everything expands and condenses and moves with the rhythm of your breathing. Can you stay aligned without slumping forward or pushing your chest out, but just a gentleness and easefulness of your alignment? Can you let the weight of your legs soften toward the ground? Again, returning to the sound and feeling of your breath, slowing your pace. When you feel ready, we'll bring our hands together, and even this, feel the palms and fingers touching. the effect of this mudra, the centering, the focus of this mudra, and just offer an offering into this space, something for you, an intention, a contemplation, an affirmation, whatever it is that you're offering to yourself. We'll release your hands. Find your way to your back. So as we move into the physicality of our practice, we're going to go nice and slow today. Nice, gentle practice. Lots of restoratives. We may or may not use the ball. We'll see how far we get. But we're definitely going to use the rolled towel. So 3 rubber bands around the rolled kitchen towel, hand towel. Well, let's start as we always do. We'll come down onto our back and just stretch your body out and feel that reaching through your limbs, stretching the right side, stretching the left side, and just enjoying some of that awakening and opening. Let's try to savor everything we touch in our bodies today. Can we just savor sensation? And then release your arms down and bring your knees into your chest. A little bit of rocking. All right, hang on to your knees and let's circle, kind of roll your knees. Melt your head. All that exercise and melting we did earlier. Let's see if we can return to that place of softness. Turn your circles the other way. And then we'll open our knees away from the middle, bring them back in toward, just enjoy the feeling of rolling through your hips. Right, your right knee into your chest, left leg comes long on the ground, and let's move about, wiggling through your fingers and toes. See if you can feel, just that little bit of pressure as you take your hands deep onto your knee. And then we'll cross the right knee over and stretch open through your right arm as you twist. And feel free to move around through that shoulder, through that arm. If you'd like, you can turn your head back and forth, or you can keep very still, whatever feels nice and good for your body. All right, coming back, knee into your chest, give it a good squeeze and then release. Stretch your arms overhead again, one more time, a long body, and then bring your left knee in. Interlace your fingers the weird way. So, we're always holding the same way. Put a little path less traveled into your hands, and let's roll around in your ankles. Wiggle your feet, find your toes, see if you can touch every joint that your ankles and feet have. A nice good snug squeeze, hug that knee in, and then we'll cross the left knee over to the right and roll open into a twist here. Okay. Maybe you want to move your left arm around. You can roll it up and down on the floor if you'd like. You can turn your head, just kind of expand through that shoulder, those shoulder joints. And then reach to a long stretch again, reaching your body right side and then your left side. And then let's turn this into a star. So we stretch our limbs outward, wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll your wrists and your ankles, touch the edges of your body, maybe rock your head a little bit left and right. And then draw your knees into your chest and give a little bit of rocking here. All right, we'll put our feet down onto the ground. Grab your strap. And we'll take our right foot into the strap. We'll lift it straight up in the air. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Have enough give on the strap where your upper body's very relaxed. You can keep your left foot on the floor, or you can lie down, you can put your left leg straight on the ground. So whatever feels better for stretching that right side. So we're opening up the hamstring, opening up the calf, and let's flex and point our foot here to begin. Just feeling our foot open up. You can have a little bit of rotation in there if your strap can hang on for it. Just see what feels good to open up the joints of your foot and ankle again. And then steady yourself with your foot and root your femur bone down toward the ground. Feel the length of your spine and the surrender of your shoulders again, opening up through the hamstring. Okay, and then we're going to press down your knee into a half happy baby and then press up toward the sky. Okay, and just go back and forth a couple of times, just getting a little range of motion in there. And then we'll pause at the top again. Push your legs straight up, root your hip straight down. All right, take your right hand on the strap, and we're going to open our leg up. And now I know the tendency is to kind of rock your whole body to the right. And maybe for a couple of pulses, you can do that just to kind of say hello to that inner thigh before holding steady. But then when you're ready, ground through the left femur bone and open up through the right leg. Okay, feeling that inner thigh stretch open. A full breath here. Relax your head. Relax your upper body. Enjoy that stretch. All right, and then we'll bring the legs straight up in the air. Take the strap into the left hand. It's still around the right foot. And we're going to move here a little bit first before we hold. So just windshield wipering that right leg, straight leg in the air. Kind of holding on with the strap. Try to do as much of the moving with your hand instead of your leg. Meaning the initiation of the movement is coming from your arm. Let's try to let the leg in its movement be as passive as possible. And then we'll cross all the way over to a twist. Draw your right hip away from the shoulder. You can roll open through your right arm and turn your head if you'd like. Press out through your foot, and let's bend the knee and then press the right foot straight. And one more time, bend the knee and press through the right foot. Take a deep breath as you hang out into this very big outer hip and leg stretch. Keep melting through your skull as much as you can. All right, and then we'll reach that leg back up in the air. Take your foot down out of the strap and lie it down, and just notice the difference in your sensation, your awareness, your perception of your right and left legs. Do you feel a little more at home in the right side now? Is there a sense of belonging? Or do you feel any more length in that right leg? What is your perception? And then bend your knees again, and we'll bring our left foot into the strap. You can keep your right foot bent or straighten it, whatever feels good. We'll start with a little movement in our foot first. So once you get your strap anchored well in your arch, let's go ahead and flex and point your foot here. Just waking up your calf, waking up the front of your foot. And you feel free to roll instead of flex and point. It's a little different than when we roll our foot on the ground. There's little different sensations. Okay. And then we'll find stillness. Take the strap into the left hand. Right leg can be straight on the ground, or you can keep it bent, your choice. And we're going to move a little bit here. So bending the left knee and then pressing it up. Bending the left knee, half happy baby, and then press it up. Maybe once more. All right, and then we'll pause here. 2 hands on the strap, soft shoulders, relax. Open up through the hamstring,
through the calf. Lift your heel, lift your foot, your whole foot, and then drop your hip down. And we'll take our strap into our left hand and open the leg out, and feel free to, if you want to do a little rocking first, you can. And then we'll stabilize and ground the right side of our body as we open up through the left. Imagine you have a sandbag on your right hip, or if your leg is straight, on your right thigh. When you're ready, lift that leg straight back up again. Take the strap into the right hand, and we'll just have a little bit of play as we rock the left leg over to the right and back again, like a windshield wiper. And then we'll cross the leg all the way over as far as it will go. Open up into your twist. Breathe deeply. Be a little active in that left leg. Press through the whole foot. Move your hip away from the shoulder and breathe. We'll inhale and lift that leg straight back up in the air, and go ahead and lower the leg down toward the ground. And then pause here for a moment, and again, just feel the weightedness of your body on the ground. Take a full breath here. And then stretch your limbs out to a star. And then we'll draw our knees into our chest and roll over to our side. All right, so find your way onto all fours. We'll get that feeling of moving through some cat-cows as we arch and round the spine. Take your time to allow some fullness of movement. So we're finding the full vertebrae as we round the spine and arch the spine. Most important thing we're doing is breathing. And any kind of movement you want to do, you can wag your tail or move around in your shoulders, your hips, anything that feels good. Just kind of allowing your body to wake and move in a way that's easeful and gentle. And then we'll find our way back to a child's pose as we drop our hips back toward our heels. Stretch your arms overhead and find that length in your body. Big breath in, big breath out. And we'll walk our hands to one side and feel that stretch through your shoulder, through your hips. If your hips tend to come up a little bit, you can even curl your toes under so you have a little bit better of a perch. And just see what feels good. All right, come back to center and walk the hands over the other way. Breathing deeply, fully. All right, and then come back to center. Come up on all fours. Give a little movement in your spine, and we'll reach one arm up high to the sky. Exhale, find your twist. Find the freedom in your rib cage, your shoulders. Breathe deeply. And then when you're ready, reach that arm back up in the air, hand down onto the ground. We'll switch sides. Feel free to do a little wrist rolling when your arm's up there if you like. Twisting to the side, breathing as you go. And then we'll reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Find a dog pose. Opening up, pedaling your feet. Let's feel a sense of openness as we drop one heel down and drop the other heel down. Kind of finding your way into the goodness of this pose. Notice your breath. Bobble your head a little bit if you'd like. Find your way into that full, slow breathing pattern. We'll walk our feet forward, come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax your skull, breathing well. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through your spine, sit bones high. Breathe here a little bit, hands can be on the ground, legs or blocks. And then we'll exhale and melt again. Push through your feet, rising up, bring the arms to the sky. Feel a nice opening across your chest. Let's spread our wings, cactus your arms, and then reach your arms up one more time. Stretch through the front of your body. Exhale and relax, standing in Tadasana. Full breath in, full breath away. Interlace your hands behind your back or grab a strap to hold between your hands. Open up across your shoulders and then bend your knees and float forward, letting your arms reach overhead. Bobble your head. Release any tension through your shoulders. Try to soften through your spine. Relax your neck. And then release the arms down, a halfway lift. Melting to fold. Step back and come to a lunge with your knee down on the ground. So right foot is in front, left foot is behind. We'll place our knee down onto the ground. Just opening up the hip flexors here, finding the heart space, expanding, maybe get a little higher on your blocks, and just enjoy. We'll go back and forth just a couple of times here, straightening the front leg, half Hanumasana, and bending the front knee to a lunge. Pause in that lunge again. Lift open through your heart. Relax and come back to a child's pose. Just let your hips relax. You can keep your hands on the blocks or lower them, whatever feels good. And then we'll come up and bring our left foot in front, finding a lunge here. Open up through the heart. Just enjoy stretching up through, open through those hip flexors. Breathing deeply. And then we'll move a little bit here, straightening the front leg and bending it. Half Hanumasana, drop that hip down. And then bend again. Pause here to breathe in your lunge. We'll bring our hands back to a dog, legs back to a dog. Take your feet wide, turn your toes in. Allow your inner thighs to roll back a little bit. Feel that extension in your whole body. And then we'll come down to a seated posture for a moment. Take a blanket underneath your sit bones. Just gonna wake up our hips a little bit, and then we'll start moving into some restorative poses. So, soles of the feet are away from you. We're not, tucked in real tight. We're creating like a diamond shape between our legs. Lift through your spine, lengthen forward. And notice in the beginning, if one knee drops down pretty easily and the other's like, ooh, a little resistance. So just pay attention to how your hips might feel differently from one from the other. Lengthen your spine forward and breathe. All right, come back up. And we'll take our roll towel. This will be our first sequence restorative thing we do. So we're going to take the rolled towel underneath our spine. You've done this before, so I'll walk you through it, but we want to start with the blanket underneath the shoulder blades, so high, right at the spine of the scapula. So, on the upper edges of the scapula, not in our neck at all. You want to feel the bone of your shoulder blades. Okay, and we're going to start pushing off our feet to rock. And so knees are bent, pelvis is very neutral. So we're not posterior and anterior tilting the pelvis. We're keeping our pelvis soft and neutral. When we push off our feet, we're rocking our body, crown tail rocking, so north south. And then keep that rocking with the hands as we go. We'll have flexion, so hands right over, arms straight, hands over your chest. This is a little teeny bit of flexion in your spine. And then arms overhead, a little bit of extension in your spine, all the while rocking. And then back to center, and we'll turn from one and look over one side, bring your arms over to that side for a little bit of rotation in the spine, and then turn the other way. All right, and then we'll walk the towel down a little bit lower, and we're going to go down the whole spine in this way. So keep rocking. Have a moment with your palms over your chest, arms straight up in the air, and then arms over your head. A few rocks for each position, and then over to one side and over to the other. All right, so you can move through this slowly, you can move through this quickly, kind of find your way. And then when you get back, you move the blanket or the roll towel down just another notch and repeat. Keep checking in with your pelvis, making sure that it's nice and easeful. Keep checking in with your skull and making sure that you're not having any tension creep into your neck or your head. Finding breath. As you move down, just take your time to kind of readjust anything that needs readjusting as you put the towel in a new place. How's your breath? This should feel good, kind of just gently warming your spine, nourishing your spine. Make sure you're breathing well. As you go down, it'll change the position, the sensation of each of the arm positions will shift. And if you find a spot where you're like, oh, I really need that, then hang out there for a while. Sometimes I like to do this more forcefully and rapidly, and sometimes I like to do it more gently, softly, and slowly. Just kind of sense what is feeling best for your body. And when you get down to the lower spine, once you pass the bottom ribs, you lose a little bit of sensation doing this. So when you get there, I'm about there, then you want to, move the towel down a little bit and then pick up the knees and just have a little rocking, holding your knees, pulling your knees a little bit toward your chest and then releasing them away. You could also do a little bit of rocking left and right. And you have to be very mindful that this hand towel is not very big, because once we get past the ribs and we're in our low back, if you have something, a bigger towel rolled up, it can be a lot for your low back. So we want to make sure that we're using a small hand towel that's not, a big bath towel that's rolled up. And if it is, you might want to just skip the low back variation of this, because it might be a little too much. And maybe a couple of spots in your low back of some rocking. And again, if you're finding a spot where you're like, oh, that feels so good, my back needs it so much right here, you can abandon ship and just stay right where you are. And then once you get to where you're feeling the bone of your pelvis and your sacrum again, sometimes I like to have, one knee toward my chest right on that edge, but you can also, that's a good time to put your feet back down onto the ground. And you can continue rocking north and south, top, bottom. Feel free to keep the arm positions moving. It's subtle, it may feel like, oh, why bother? And you don't have to. If it feels comfortable to just rest your arms and rock on your sacrum, that's great. But the movement that we were doing earlier can just subtly shift some things across your sacrum. So feel free to continue with the arm motions. And you can have, two or so spots on your sacrum. And when you get to your tail, I'm not quite there yet, but when you get to the very bottom of your sacrum, your tailbone, you might, again, just like when we were in our low back, you might lose sensation of, what's the purpose? Well, I'm not really feeling anything anymore. And at that point, when you get to the very bottom of your sacrum, you can straighten your legs, put your feet on the ground, heels are down, and you can just flex and point your toes to give a little rocking through your body. So you just rock a little bit on your sacrum. All right. So we did that for, I think it was about 9 minutes, and might have been 8 minutes. And you could do it in half the amount of time, you could do it in double the amount of time. So, that I took a fairly rapid pace through that, just so we have time for other things. But if you're really enjoying that kind of self massage, take your time. There's no rush to do that. When you're ready to come up, we're gonna grab a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, we're gonna grab a couple of blankets, and we're going to do a twist over the bolster. Okay. So we're gonna take the bolster out from our right hip, straight out from our right hip, or stack 2 blankets in that position. Okay. maybe even more blankets to see what you have. Your left knee can tuck next to your hip like in a half virasana. And you can turn toward the bolster. Let your left hip lift as you turn to the right and lie down on the bolster. So you can turn your head either way. If it turns all the way to the right, great. But if that's troublesome for your neck, turn it back left. And whichever position you're taking, this is a good spiral all the way down through your hip. So just breathe here for a moment. Do what you can to melt yourself on the bolster. If there's any tension in your neck, make sure you adjust something so there's ease. All right, come back up. And we'll switch to the other side. We're going to take the bolster out from our left hip. Bend your right knee so your foot is next to your knee. And if that's uncomfortable, if your knee doesn't flex like that, feel free to have both legs straight. You don't have to do it. You can also start with your legs straight, and once you're twisting, bend your knee at that point. Okay, so lots of ways to get in. Turn. I like to kind of hold the bolster to give me a little leverage to twist with, and then lie down. And you might notice, like for me, twisting this direction is a little harder. Not, I don't go as far, so getting my neck to be comfortable needs a little bit of adjustment. Okay, so find what it is that you need for your level of comfort. Melt your body down. Sense into the openness of that left hip. Come up and out of that pose. So hopefully your spine has gotten a good wringing out. Okay. We're going to come into a child's pose over the bolster. And then after this, we're going to move into Supta Baddha Konasana. So first, just stretching open the back after the twist a little bit. Take your knees wide, take the bolster or blankets in between your thighs and lie down on it. Turn your head one way or another. Relax your body. Return back to your breathing. And just notice that deep quality of self-care that these restorative poses offer if you're willing to accept. Come on up and out of there. And we're going to, create as much of a nest as we possibly can for ourselves. So one block on the middle height and another block on the lower height with a bolster over it can be a nice place to begin. But you can create this however you like to be. If this is a good height for you, great. This is how I like to do it, but there's always ways for you to figure this out for yourself. I like to take one blanket and fold it, so it's a little bit of a landing spot, and then blankets or pillows for my arms, a pillow for my head. Okay, so experiment with what feels good. I'm making a big nest for myself. So I'm gonna sit in front of my bolster on the ground. My bolster's on a ramp so that I'm not, laying flat on a flat bolster, but it's kind of like a arc. So if whatever props you have, you can create that for yourself. And then the soles of the feet come together, and we'll take the blankets and kind of tuck them underneath our outer knees, okay? And maybe your outer hips, and then we'll come back and lie down. Now, I have a pillow today. I don't always have a pillow under my head, but today I've got a pillow because that's what feels good. And then I'm gonna take these pillows and put them under my elbows so that I have some support for my arms. If I had yet another blanket, which I'm using all my props, so I don't have everything I want. But if I did, I would put a blanket over me so that I'm not cold. I don't feel cold, but if you feel like at all like you need a covering over you, try to have a sweater or an extra blanket for that as well. And once you're settled and you've got all your myriad of props supporting you, can you feel the support? Can you feel that you're melting into a nest? There shouldn't be a strong feeling of stretching anywhere. This isn't, an aggressive pose. It's a very passive pose. And as you lie, you might notice, oh, this is a little off. I need the prop a little differently there. So make some adjustments if you need to. And then find your peace. Put your arms anywhere you want them to be. Try to focus on two things: the melting of your body and the steadiness, the openness of your breath. Let's release ourselves out of this pose. Unless you don't want to. If you're like, oh, I feel so comfortable and you don't want to move. We've been in this pose for a bunch of minutes, but you could stay for a bunch more minutes and just skip what I'll offer next. So the last pose we'll do before Shavasana is leg up the wall pose. And there's so many different ways of going about this. I'm going to do it the very traditional way with a bolster and 2 blocks. So you can take 2 blocks against a wall, kind of having this putting them like this against a wall. So here, I'll show you on this wall. I don't know if you can see that, where you would have 2 blocks against a wall like this. Okay, having a little gap for your pelvis in between. And then we'll take the bolster, okay, right up against this. And then you can ignore me and just be doing a blanket under your pelvis if you want. And then another blanket for on top of the bolster, again, optional. And then I like to put a blanket underneath my spine as well. So you do you, however you want to be in this. Some people like just a blanket under their head. Sometimes I grab an extra thin pillow or blanket to put under my head as well. And then the key to getting into this pose is to sit on the wall, get your butt on the wall, and then roll down and lift yourself up. And then adjust so that your buttocks kind of fall in the pocket in between the 2 blocks. That little gap that you made between the 2 blocks is a good spot for your buttocks to hang out. And then just notice if you're comfy. Okay, so if you feel like you need a little support under your head, you can grab a small pillow or a blanket or whatever you've got. Sometimes that's nice, sometimes not nice. Okay, so just see what you need. Find your breath. Again, arms can be cactus, arms can be out, arms can be overhead. And same with your legs, lots of choices. You can have your legs right, just straight. You can take the soles of your feet together. I don't have room for this, but you could stretch your legs out to a letter V. You can put your feet on the wall. You can cross your legs on the wall. So lots of choices. Once you're ready to surrender, again, we're just giving way. Do your best to melt into the pose. You can feel all the fluids draining from your legs. That deep work of an inversion, so helpful to all the fluid systems in your body.
Again, you can stay right here if this is a happy place for you or feel like you need more of an inversion. And whenever you're ready, you can roll out of the pose, come to sit, and we'll find our way to Shavasana. Now, Shavasana can be done lots of different ways as well. You can lie on your side, you can lie on your back, you can put your legs up on a chair, you can use a bolster. However you want to be in this pose. And our body temperature has probably cooled down, so take your time to find a blanket to cover you if you feel at all chilled. However you like to be in Shavasana. So as you come to Savasana, let's take some time to melt one more time and get your body to deeply surrender. And again, the focus is on the breath and the act of surrendering in the body. Try to stay with your practice, keeping the mind steady here and now.
Begin to take some deep, full breaths. Stretch and move in any way that supports you in your transition. Take your time, spend a little time on your side, surrendering. Have a breath. And then when you feel ready to come back up to a comfortable seat, you can find that as well. And just notice what a little bit of time focusing on your breath and on your body and on your rest has done for you. And bring your hands together and let's offer our piece of our practice outward. Namaste.